Hello and welcome to another episode of Virtual Legality. I'm your host, Richard Hoeg, managing member of the Hoeg Law business law firm of Northville, Michigan. And today I have a story that I just really wanted to share because I find it fascinating and a welcome diversion from some of the more serious topics that we have been discussing on this channel, on this platform. And it all relates to Red Dead Redemption Online. If you haven't seen this story, it is absolutely fascinating. I think the primary focus of the story, at least the one that got the most quotes that I saw, was on Polygon by Patricia Hernandez, entitled "Red Dead Online Fans Are Dressing Up as Clowns to Protest Rockstar." Now, if you're familiar with 2020 at this point and you are otherwise just leery of all these kinds of articles, I was concerned about what they might be protesting, what Rockstar had done, what these people had done. This is actually a much more wholesome story than that, which is nice in 2020. In particular, they're actually protesting the game, and they're protesting Rockstar's failure to update it. Or as this article says, and here's a picture of a clown in Red Dead Redemption Online, "All is not well in the digital Wild West." Red Dead Online fans note that it has been nearly a year since Rockstar has meaningfully updated the open world MMO attached to Red Dead Redemption 2, of course, which has got people feeling exasperated by content drought. The tweet that they actually referred to here is one from a couple of days ago, a little bit more than a week, that says 207 days Rockstar, presumably referring to the fact that Rockstar has not put out a substantive update for their Red Dead Online project in that period of time. And if you are very much into one of these live service type games, whether that's Destiny or Warframe or something like this, Red Dead Online, when Rockstar Games has otherwise been supporting Grand Theft Auto Online, kind of the sister or sibling to their Red Dead Online product, to the hilt, updating it constantly, primarily because that's the service that makes them the most money, you can see how people could get upset about the fact that Rockstar, which has exemplified a kind of constant update process, is not updating as you would have hoped they would this game that you actually love and that you thought would get updated in that fashion. But rather than just complaining about it, the article continues, the Cowboys of Red Dead Online are staging a protest of sorts. Instead of wearing the usual spurs and 10-gallon hats, players are opting to dress up as clowns. Now, the definition of clown is pretty loose here, the article notes. Accepted participation can be your typical red-nosed, white-faced variety of jester, but the organizers also encourage people to think about wider circus roles. Rather than let it turn negative or nasty, and I really love this quote, which in-game communities things often can, I thought I would turn our protests into something a bit more fun or even wholesome in a way, said Magnar, one of the administrators of the Red Dead Online group, to Polygon over Discord. Or PvP Only Cat that said, how about making a flash mob in Red Dead Online this weekend, wearing the clown outfits in videos while on streams. Magnar notes that sometimes aggravated players will call Rockstar developers clowns for mishandling the update schedule, but the reality is more complicated than that. And I really like this as well. The purpose of this is not necessarily to call Rockstar clowns, but almost to subtweet them or to throw a little shade. As you see in this follow-up quote, we're the clowns for even expecting an update or communication, so let's have fun with that. And that idea soon became such a strong meme that in late June, a couple of weeks ago, some Red Dead Online fans were painting their faces like clowns in real life. You've got tweets here about people actually putting clown makeup on for this kind of meme. And one thing I will say before we continue on with this article is that if you're Rockstar Games, this is everything that you want as a publisher or a developer in terms of people that are such a fan of your product that they are protesting that you aren't keeping it alive as they would have it done. And they're protesting not with outrage mobs, not with slurs, not with insults to the developers, although I'm sure you can point to somebody somewhere that is doing that kind of thing online as well, but primarily through something that is within the game, within the product that if you're Rockstar, you're trying to sell, and is funny, and most importantly, gets noticed. Fast forward to July, and the Discord group was able to fill up an entire server with clowns in an effort to bring some attention to their predicament. The whole thing was put together by player-only PvP Cat. And you can see here a screenshot of just a bunch of clowns walking around Red Dead Redemption Online. From there, the usual shenanigans ensued. The clowns took over locales like bars or hijacked trains and proceeded to wreak havoc. The event has since gotten some attention from the wider community, with more players also dropping into games dressed as jokesters. The Discord is now also full of photos of people participating in the protests, some as clowns, and others fulfilling the more general circus theme. Before we continue with this article, I think that is the point, if you take nothing else from this video, that I would impress upon folks that want to see changes done, whether in software and games like this or just in general with pop culture and something else that you see that you think a lot of people agree with you on, that you don't like to see happen from a kind of corporate governance perspective or just a business one. And by doing something like this that is imaginative, that is within their product, that is wholesome, that doesn't have all of these negative flag indicators that would otherwise come with something like this, you get the coverage that you want. You get paid attention to. If you go and you look up this story, you see that IGN covered it. Red Dead Online players dress up as clowns to protest Rockstar's lack of updates. PC Gamer covered it. Red Dead Online players are dressing up as clowns to protest a lack of updates. A little bit of headline synergy there. The Polygon article we just read, The Escapist, various other places on Reddit and online, because this kind of thing does get attention. And in all honesty, I can't promise you that Rockstar is going to devote more resources aimed at this thing, but it's the right type of movement. It's the right type of process to get a good change. I wouldn't be surprised if Rockstar actually winds up putting out a statement addressing these kinds of things and addressing the creativity of their fan base and how much love and passion their players clearly have for this product that they have put out. Now, yeah, a lot of that's going to be public relations oriented and legally vetted and all the things that I've talked to you about in Virtual Legality in the past. But if you want to see change, this is the kind of thing that I really can get behind. It's a very good story. It's covered obviously here on this video, but elsewhere online, because of how unique and creative it is. So yes, it got the attention of the wider community. It's continuing to do that, getting the attention of not just the wider Red Dead community, but also the wider video game enthusiast community. And all because you've got great memes, you've got great tweets, you've got great images of people engaged in this entire process. This article finishes with a great quote. With the Red Dead community, a lot of people still love the game. They're just disappointed with Rockstar for taking them for granted. So yes, we do still play, but we'll vent any frustrations in a more fun, clowny way. And I think that's the important part. We talk a lot in this space about the problems with contracts of adhesion, the problems of terms of service, the problems of licensing software, the problems of archiving games and keeping games that are otherwise live service oriented or games as a service. We've talked about it with very prominent folks here and online about whether or not it's fraud, how contracts work, what the terms mean. And no, this kind of terminology, I've pulled up the Rockstar terms of service, is not going to change on its own. But certainly here in Virtual Legality, we try to highlight those issues which we think are problematic in these kinds of documents. And we very much encourage folks that are invested in these communities to speak out against them. And this is one of those stories which I absolutely loved to see this morning, because it's exactly the kind of thing I would like to see gamers do all over the place. That there are a lot of things that could have attention raised upon them. That Rockstar just abandoning this product for almost a year is something that is worthwhile to discuss. And to get IGN and Polygon and The Escapist and PC Gamer to cover it is a big win. Even if change isn't immediate, Rockstar will notice this. Someone at Rockstar will be talking about this. And yeah, maybe the vice president of making money says, yeah, forget it. Don't worry about it. We're making more money over here in Grand Theft Auto Online. But the more attention is raised, the higher the likelihood that something like that conversation doesn't happen. I can't make guarantees, but getting through these terms of service, changing these kinds of things, getting more attention to the problems that you have with these companies, doing it in a way like Red Dead Online, having clowns on an entire server, being able to put those videos up and get the attention of these journalistic outlets is a tremendous win. And I know I don't need to read these for you if you've been to Virtual Legality before. I just pulled up a paragraph talking about Rockstar providing these online services. They say they can change, suspend, discontinue, including the availability of any feature or content on 30 days notice. And they can also impose limits on features and services, restrict your access to all or part of the online services without any notice at all. They can do all these sorts of things. If you go on this terms of service document, which will of course be linked in the description, and read further, you will see that they make no commitment of any kind to any updates or any patches or any maintenance or offer any warranty that it'll work with your system or will work with your system in the future. This is very standard. These are the kinds of things that need to be discussed more often by gamers or just software users in general. But this kind of thing, these kinds of protests are what makes the most sense to me. I've in fact covered in this space how useless I find things like review bombs and how problematic I find them in respect of actually kind of signal to noise ratio aspects of limiting the ability of people to actually tell what's a good game or what's a bad game, because folks like to review bomb things on Steam and elsewhere related to things that don't actually reflect the gameplay itself. I have a problem with those. Other people will disagree on whether or not that makes good sense as a prospect, but I can tell you that actually operating in the game, having this protest as part of the product, and actually having the conversation, getting noticed by IGN and Polygon and The Escapist and PC Gamer and everyone else, to me, that's the right way to have this conversation. That is a great way to try to seek out these changes, and I highly hope that we continue to see these kinds of things in the spaces where players really do have a lot of control, where they can get together and potentially, all sit down on chairs in Destiny and take that picture and protest something that Bungie's doing, or do it in Warframe or Apex or Fortnite, or wherever you might find yourself with this kind of metaverse approach to games as a service. I think we will see this a lot more often, and so I leave you with this. When you've got a problem, when you want to seek change at the corporate level, I think it's time to send in the clowns. If you like this, we are talking about these kinds of issues all the time in this space. Business and law, hopefully helping illuminate, hopefully helping educate on those topics by looking at the news items and pop culture that we are already enjoying so often. So if you think that's a good idea, if you think other people would like it, please share it around on the forums that you're at. Tell people that we are here. Ring bells, hit subscription buttons, do all the rest of the good stuff that I know you otherwise want to do. If you saw this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. And if you listen to it as a podcast, thank you so much for listening. And I will catch you on the very next episode of Virtual Legality. Virtual Legality is a YouTube video series with audio podcast versions presented as commentary and for education and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute legal advice and does not create an attorney-client relationship. If you have legal questions about the topics discussed, please consult your own legal counsel.